And I'm just glad that after years of abuse, the Clement stable has actually left horses to New York this winter. And they seem to have some live horses running here, so I think it's a good thing. First-time starter, Hannah Good. I mean, the horse is a half to one decent runner and for Todd, but a bunch of horses that weren't very good. And, you know, if Brittany, first of all, Brittany Russell is shipping up. Okay, she doesn't have the numbers here. She does out of town. He's also a New York bred, so obviously he fits running here and coming in the van with horses she's bringing up for stake races. Doesn't mean the horse can't run, and I think she's a dangerous trainer, but it's not a horse in isolation in an open maiden race that's running here. New York bred coming up with others that she's running.
Exactly, and I think that's something that needs to be considered. And while she does have good numbers with first-time starters, not here, and hasn't started many here, 0 for 7 over the past 5 years with her debuters at Naira. The horse worked a little bit in July at Delaware, then not back on the work tab until November, and I just thought the works were kind of slow overall, with the best one being over the all-weather surface at Fair Hill. So I don't know. I mean, certainly could surprise and run well here, but I didn't see a ton to recommend this one over horses that had already run.
So you've taken Brooklyn Dance, who I'm going to try to somehow get in for second, but it's quite a reach to get this horse to win.
I agree. I think that this one, Leah Giarmati has better numbers stretching horses out than she does cutting horses back, but the stretch out didn't work out for this horse last time and now goes back to a sprint distance and was against the racetrack on debut, was wide on a day where you did want to be inside, and Peanut or Pickle was the winner that day, actually ran back well to finish second in her next start. We saw Mel's baby sister, who was second, returned to run second again with the same number behind Sohana. So perhaps less distance for this one, but she does need to run a bit better to beat Fabulous Fox.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a wise guy type horse, but she's a hard horse to make, being Fabulous Fox, if that one shows up today. Race number 2. You know, I was talking about the morning line with David Aragon, and listen, he makes the line, he makes it accurately, and he sees things that I don't see when he makes the line, and that's why I question his line sometimes, and he understands the way horses are bet. I find it puzzling that they're going to go that hog wild for the 3-year You Better Be Joking, who just to me is slow, even though he ran dramatically his best race dropping last time, but he dropped last time. And even that figure doesn't seem particularly special, but as he said, it's Manny Franco, and the horse that you and I both like is Lane Luzzy, and you know, Lane won a couple races yesterday. He's no Manny Franco, and he's not going to get bet like Manny Franco, but frankly, I mean, we'll take a look at Bad Larry breaking his maiden 2 back. He had massive excuses in his prior 2 races, a dead rail, involved in a fast pace that fell apart. I don't even think he ran that badly last time out. To me, he's the... If you take jockeys out of the equation... Isn't
he supposed to be the favorite?
I think he's supposed to be favored. And David's... Listen, David's always right about these things.
He is.
And it wasn't so much that he made the 3 favored. It was the disparity in odds that I found. But he's almost always right about these things, so I'm not going to argue with him. I just find it amazing that this horse would be a significantly higher price than the 3, being that he looks like a better horse.
I think so, too. I mean, I guess being taken away from Mike Maker, but it's not as though Melanie Giddings doesn't know what she's doing. And isn't he just supposed to be forward with that excuse that he had last time, possibly on a rail that wasn't good as well?
Supposed to go to the lead.
Right.
Yeah, if Lane doesn't send this horse to the lead, I think he needs to reconsider riding here, frankly. Unless somebody else wants to be aggressive or the horse doesn't get out of the gate. This horse is clearly the speed and has an advantage. I agree. And the other thing is, who says claiming sprinters from Mike Maker on the dirt is some sort of bad thing? And Mike is sort of more known as moving horses forward, going longer on the turf.
Right.
And I'm not... Yeah, I think a lot of Mike as a trainer, but I don't think Mike considers his strong suit lower-level claimers going 6 furlongs in the dirt. And as you say, Melanie's done fine, so I don't agree. I mean, I think the other horse in yours, I mean, you and I saw this the same as Arabato. I mean, you know, you and David are going to get Nightpaul 7% Chatterpaul home a lot more often than I am. But selectively, this horse at times has run races that would make him competitive, though they seem to be few and far between.
Right, and that is a concern, is now he comes back off a little bit of a freshening, but at times he has outrun his odds against tougher company, and he hasn't been in for a tag since breaking his maiden, and certainly never won this low, so he just seems like the other horse, if You Better Be Joking and Bad Larry don't run their A race.
Well, the other thing about You Better Be Joking to me is, and listen, I'm not going to be shocked if he wins this race, and I'm sure you won't be either, but he's got that one aberrant fig last time on the big drop down. His other races are
fast enough.
decidedly mediocre, and they sort of belong with the rest of the group. Who's to say he isn't a horse that just sort of finally moved up when they dropped him down a lot, and now he's running the second time at the lower level?
And didn't Gun Maestro kind of run a better race than him after the trouble that he had to almost get him for second?
Probably. He improved 3 buyer points in his next start. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. But even so, he still ran the 69 buyer,
Right.
which does make him a major player here. The question is how confident you're going to see he's going to duplicate it. And I just think, to me, Bad Larry is the horse to beat in this race. I'm sure the public won't see it that way, and we'll see if that's the way it plays out. You and I saw that race the same. Race number 3. You know, I have a lot of respect for El Grande O. We'll take a look at. But first, we'll talk about drum roll, please. I mean, if you believe, as I think we both do, in bias, this horse ran an absolutely remarkable race last time because he lost his position. He dropped back almost towards not last because the eventual runner-up is way out of the picture right now. And then he made this long, sustained 5-wide run in the race after getting sort of shuffled out. And understandably tired at the end. And if anything, maybe it's a distance thing and the mile will be better for him. Whereas people can say Sierra Leone closed as well. Sierra Leone saved a lot of ground in this race before angling out very, very late in the second turn. Whereas this horse was 3 to 4 wide in the first turn and a good 4 or 5 wide on the second turn the whole way.
You can see him go here.
He was very, I mean, you can see Sierra Leone, and right now he's just moved to the 2 path. And, you know, midway through the turn, he'll sort of, late in the turn, move to the 3 path. He didn't lose that much ground. This horse lost a lot of ground. I thought he ran a huge race.
He did, and this was a day that, as you mentioned, the bias, you wanted to be forward, and that's what
On the rail also.
helped Dornoch come back and battle back against a horse that was closing from last. And I just felt as though Drum Roll Please was the clear class of this field. I'd love to try to beat him with somebody else because he's going to be the single of the day for most people at an extremely short price. But overall, I mean, isn't he kind of just the best horse in here with what he's done so far?
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought his last race was exceptional. Up until his last race, I don't know. I don't think he's better than this horse. We'll take a look at El Grande O, and I think it is important to note. Look, I don't want to be overly dismissive of El Grande O. This horse is pretty good, and he's had a nice break now for over 2 months since his last race. And this horse put together a string of very, very good races. And keep in mind, he ran in the Champagne just 2 weeks after winning the Bonneguard, running an 85 buyer, and then he comes back just 3 weeks later and he runs this race. Now he's at a couple months, so I don't think that Drum Roll Please has to beat El Grande O. I think he probably will. But I think this horse is pretty good. Who's going to run with this guy early? He's fast.
He is quick. And I mean, he didn't make the lead in the Champagne either, but he wouldn't be the first horse to come out of there that didn't run well and rebound.
Well, I mean, he wasn't going to win the Champagne whether he made the lead or, I mean, he's made a lead in every other race. That was also a wicked, wicked fast pace. He's a fast horse.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be in front of these horses. You take a horse like Canati, who will take a look at that horse's race at Keeneland, broke his maiden. He can't keep up with him early.
No, he can't. I don't think Regalo or Sweet Sadi J can either. So I think that he'll find himself in a very comfortable position. This is a kind of a Pletcher horse that's always sort of flown under the radar a little bit. And while this was a big win for him at Keeneland, he needs to get a little bit faster to compete here. And I just don't think that he's going to get a trip that really ends up suiting him.
I think Todd's just taking a shot, throwing him in. Calumet likes to take shots in races. He knew it was a small field, and there's no reason not to take a shot, but it doesn't seem like he's good enough. I mean, I guess Regalo is kind of the other horse if you want one, but I can't imagine a scenario where the 1 or 4 don't win this race.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think El Grande O has a better chance than maybe you do, and I think he has a right to move forward. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, it's not like he hasn't run fast races on dry tracks.
He has.
You know, maybe he's just been on wet tracks, and maybe that's just been the circumstance. Race number 4, we'll take a break after race number 5. Egypt scratched out of this race. A horse would take a lot of money. I know that Heroes Medal has burned a lot of money. We'll take a look at him finishing second at Churchill Downs. But the reality is that while he was a little overbet in this race at Churchill, he also blew the brake in here. And when he blew the brake, it put him badly out of position. And in doing so, it ultimately cost him the race. He's consistently run fast figs. I like the cut back to a 1-turn mile, and I think this is going to prove to be a very good claim by Linda Rice.
He had an excuse in here, and I'll give him that when he finally did drop in class. But before that, could you say that he's kind of a hanging type?
I don't know. I mean, he's running the race he's running. I mean, let's discuss the prices he was before his last race. You know, 19 to 35 to 1, and then 5 and 6 to 1. What races was he losing that he was supposed to win before his last race? So I don't know. I don't think he's badly underperformed. I think he's kind of run to his odds in his races, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't see him as that kind of horse. And I also believe that he lost the race because of the break last time. And I say that having bet the winner last time. So I'm not complaining. He got lucky because this horse got left. I get it. He's had his chances to win. To me, he'll lose if he gets beaten on the front end by horses like Lucency or Venge. What am I missing with Bolt de Plata?
It's not, to me at least, as much of a step up in class as it might appear on paper, because he's been running second to horses that have come back to either replicate their numbers or improve quite a bit. Running second to Duke of Gloucester, who's in great form right now as he's improved his Beyer over his next 3 starts, winner of his last 2. And then before that, running second to Strapped, who returned to run the same 71 Beyer and a starter allowance to Mama's Gold. So I didn't look at this as that much of a change in class, and he's not so far off of the horses that I imagine are going to be dueling on the front end again with Lucency and Venge, and I didn't really necessarily see a big change in those two in terms of their tactics, and at least he can pass some horses.
Okay, good luck. I think he has absolutely no chance, but hey, he's going to be a big price in here, so I wish you the best of luck.
Do you think that things have changed in terms of tactics for either Venge or Lucency, who kind of canceled each other out last time?
Well, they didn't cancel each other out. Venge was loose from Lucency. And Jose Lezcano isn't the kind of rider that engages in significant speed duels in races, so I think that Venge will go, and I imagine Lucency will sit
right
second.
off.
I mean, I'm not somebody that expects there to be quick paces around here. We very rarely have them. But I imagine, why would Ruben Silveira start rating horses when he's got the lone speed with Venge? I mean, I don't think Venge is impossible in this race. Yeah. I think Duke of Gloucester lives in isolation. He has clearly improved, but I don't think that makes Bolt de Plata or that race that he was in any better. We obviously disagree in here. I'm not going to sit around and knock a horse. It's 1,000,000 to 1. Race number 5. Race number 5, I think you and I are clearly going on the same notion here on the trainer change to Horacio de Paz with Savage Spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Has good numbers doing so on the dirt. First off the trainer switch, 8 for 41, $2.04 ROI over the past 5 years, 3 of those winners being this year. I actually thought he ran okay in that mile off the turf race to finish 4th, and thought that with the blinkers coming on, he might not be so far back as he was in his last start sprinting.
Lee has sandwiches, in case you're interested.
Oh,
so
excited.
Yeah, pretty excited. Well, it's just
That's
exciting
big
that Lee
news.
is here. It is big news. Letting everybody know. I just think, in this field, he's run fast enough to be nibbling at the edges, and I like the trainer change to Horacio de Paz. I like trainer changes in general to Horacio de Paz. I do want to show Braca and Retail Man in their last race. I thought Retail Man a little bit interesting off of that race. It seems like speed was an advantage in this race, and I thought he made like this big run to get there, and then he just didn't really finish it up late. But I thought he kind of took the worst of it in the track, whereas a horse like Braca was much closer, and I think it was more beneficial to him. So I thought Retail Man was the other horse in this race. I was going to use 5s and 6s.
Did it bother you a little bit that the horse that beat Retail Man for 3rd absolutely stood in the gate and kind of closed from about as far back as he did?
No, because he didn't really make that kind of run. Because Retail Man made a big run to try to win the race, and didn't he more just sort of pick up pieces when the race was falling apart in the late stages? So I'm not saying that he didn't run a lot better than that horse, but I don't know. And he's also got a resume of running races that are fast enough to win. I mean, when was he running the horse that got left that in the race when the race was sort of being decided?
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think Retail Man made a move, but it's a reasonable point. But you have Braca in front of him.
Yeah, just a horse that looks to be forward, especially now from the rail, and I didn't see as much speed as I thought there was last time contesting things early. So he took a big step forward in his 2nd start, and maybe with one more step forward and getting a little bit more comfortable on the front end, could see it out.
Yeah, I would like to see Manny Franco be more aggressive with Retail Man. He's a horse that has the speed to be more forward, and I think with a more aggressive ride than last time out, he could be forward in here, and I could actually be in front of the one. So we'll see how the race plays out. Diane's retiring is a little bit interesting, getting back to the dirt and making just the third start. I mean, the first race wasn't that bad, especially relative to this field, and it was back in September, and it's now been 4 months since this horse has tried dirt and is a newly turned 3-year-old. He has every reason to improve 5, 6, 7, 8 points and run a buyer in the 50s, and that may make him tough to beat. As the case with Rob the Bank, who's a new gelding, my concern is I don't really trust that race where he got the 54, and I'm not saying he's at 22, but I'm not sure that race is the most indicative race of his ability, but he is first-time Lasix and a new gelding. You see a lot, obviously, first-time Lasix as they are newly turned 3-year-olds. Take a break, late pick 4 after a quick message.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
I want to thank our sponsors at Saratoga Water. Got home with big boxes of Saratoga Water in the lobby of my building. I thought about stealing them, actually. Briefly thought about stealing them. The doorman could probably take me, though, so I decided not to. Race number 6. Wanted to show Friday I'm in Love, his last race. And this is a race that Manny Franco got days, actually, for this one. I wasn't sure he wasn't just race riding. I thought Jose got himself into a little bit of a jackpot and also just kind of unlucky in the situation.
Yeah, he tried to get off the rail.
Yeah, and you know, the horse who ran second here spent a reasonable amount of time in the rail. He's really the only horse that entire day that was on the rail that did okay. He drifted a little bit late. I always think that these exceptions really sort of prove that maybe the rail wasn't that bad. Friday in Love spent an enormous amount of time on the rail, and I just feel as though after that last race, Jose has got to come out sending from the rail. Don't fool around, just go.
Yeah, I agree. Horse to beat. I just didn't want to pick the same horse as you, and I saw that you didn't include Captain Party anywhere, so that's why
Why would I?
Isn't it kind of more of a dirt pedigree?
No.
McLean's Music, should they really be going long on the turf?
He seems to do a lot of things. The dam side is all turf.
She won dirt sprinting as well.
She's not good on the dirt. She was a turf horse, and happy to look it up again. But no, I hate Captain Party and would like to book every cent on that horse, actually. I think this is absolutely the kind of horse that, while 1 in 15, 10 or 15 of them win, in general, all winter long, these horses get bet based on turf figures in dirt races. And the negative equity, and this horse towers over this field, along with Scherzando, who's more of a turf horse, and the dirt figs, not tower over, is better than these horses based on the turf figs. These horses, these 3-to-1 morning lines, these horses get bet based on figures on a different surface. And no, I'll be shocked if this horse is even remotely as effective on the dirt. Could happen, but at the 3-to-1 morning line, I wish I could book every cent bet on this horse in every single pool, personally. So yeah, no. Why am I supposed to like this horse? I'm happy to look the dam up again, but I have a turf dam
right here
that wasn't very good in the dirt.
She won at 7.5 furlongs on the dirt with a 78 buyer.
Okay, what kind of figs she run on the turf?
Highest is an 89, more so around the 70, 73.
And our dirt races overall?
She also has a 91 buyer on the dirt, too.
Okay, I have to look her up again. Maybe I got the wrong horse. I would still book every cent on her. I also think you have to ask yourself, why did the connections run this horse on the turf over and over and over again if they felt it was a dirt horse? I mean, George Weaver, he's not an idiot.
Yeah, no, it's a fair question.
You know, so no, these are horses that I hate. I mean, the reality is there's very few horses that are efficient on multiple surfaces like that, particularly turf and dirt. So no, this is not the kind of horse that I like in here at all. But I've been wrong before, and I could be wrong again. I'll have to look that pedigree up again. I'm not sure how I got it that bad. Oh, no. I'm sorry. The dam was better turf, okay dirt. It's
Yeah.
the production. It's the foals she's
Oh,
had.
yes.
It's the foals she's had cannot lift a hoof on the dirt. They can handle the turf. That's why I don't. That's
Okay.
what I had written down. I'm sorry. You're correct. She's a better turf horse, but was okay on the dirt. That's correct. But her production has been all turf, and that to me is bothersome. No, I'm never going to bet horses like that in this race. I'm more concerned with the Flying in Style. I don't know what happened to Flying in Style last time.
I wish I had an excuse for that, because the race before you can make some excuses for.
Well, I mean, the potential excuse was this horse was faced with kickback for the absolute first time in his career. He had never been behind horses taking dirt. And while his head didn't go flying around, he dropped back so suddenly in there and so sharply. And then he came running at the end and he galloped out past all the horses that I wondered a little bit if he got bothered by kickback. And he has run races that are fast enough. And now he draws an outside post. So even if he's not in front, he's not going to be taking dirt. So I think he's dangerous. And listen, by the way, if I'm not a big kickback guy, and if I'm wrong about the kickback theory, then he was terrible. I agree with you. I mean, but I don't like him.
I wanted to find a reason, because the race before that fits, as do some of his earlier races, but last time was just so bad.
What about Flip's Dream, who took all that money last time, and the horse was awful.
He was kind of squeezed, but then he did no running whatsoever after that. So maybe they thought if he's far back, just give him the race and have the experience, but you kind of want to see them do a little bit of running.
Yeah, no, you're right. He was squeezed at the start. You're right. I just don't. Yeah, but he did get bet in there for a sharp outfit, so I guess he shouldn't be completely
And you have
dismissed.
the 3 in the mix who was against the racetrack and now goes first off the claim.
Well, he wasn't against the track as much as he was chasing a very fast horse in Sharpaz. I think that was the thing. I don't think he ran that badly. I think he ran the second best race. He got bet that day. The problem is I just think he's meeting much better horses. And, you know, it's tough. You claim horse for 30, then you go into maiden specials. I know these aren't stake maiden specials, but this is a significant move up. I thought about him for a little while. I thought about putting him on top. I just don't know if he's ultimately quite good enough.
Yeah, and they paid quite a bit for him, and then he debuted so much later for the 30. It was kind of a question mark.
Yeah, his last race was okay.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Shizando third. It's very optimistic of you. Well, he likes to finish second and third.
He does,
Though
yeah.
mostly on the turf.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's meeting a Fortune's nephew in here, so.
No, and he probably was going too far last time. The cut back to 6.5 does
Yeah.
help him in this race. So I think it's the distance will help him a little bit. Race number 7. That's why Lee's here with sandwiches, because the mighty, the big High Oak is running 1 of 2 for Bill Mott. We'll show Set Sail first, though, winning 2 back. And David has a big discrepancy in their odds. And I guess off the last race, maybe he's right. I don't know. I think last time he got caught chasing wide on the big inside speed track last time, and it was just against him. I thought he was pretty good. I took him to beat High Oak in this race and turn the tables. But I don't have a problem with High Oak, but at a much shorter price. I would prefer this horse at a bigger price.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a good one, too. I picked him last time. I know that he was wide against a good rail, but he also completely dissipated at the top of the stretch in that race after being up close to the pace. And it's kind of, I don't know, at least a little bit of a red flag for me that he dissolved so quickly in there. But maybe it's just that he was against the track and he might not stand up on a wet track as well.
Right, he's run badly twice on wet tracks. He did get left a little bit in that race in the Peter Pan. But I don't know. I'm willing to give him a pass for that race if he's 7-2. Now, the reality is if he was 2-1 in this race, I wouldn't give him a pass for it. If he's a little bit higher, and the thing is, I just don't really love anybody else. And as far as High Oak, what I am going to say about High Oak is we watched him run second, the Bold Ruler, is it's about time, Lee, that you put Katie Davis back aboard. I thought one of the great injustices. You know, I do understand, and so does Katie. Irad Ortiz becomes available to you for a stake race. It's very, very hard not to take him. And Katie has done a fine job riding, but she's no Irad Ortiz, and I'm sure she knows that as well. But the difference with this horse was the way this horse had responded for Katie. I understand in a normal situation, as would any rider, Irad Ortiz is going to get the mount over most people.
Sure, it doesn't matter who they are.
Right, but this is a horse that was floundering that came back alive for Katie, and I felt it was tough that she lost the mount. And then last time, the horse ends up chasing wide out in the middle of nowhere in the race. Frankly, been better off with Katie riding last time out than Louis. Sorry. But, you know, and I'm not even sure, and Louis is a very good rider. I'm not sure he fits a horse like this, to be honest.
I will
because-
say I respect him enormously, as I know you do as well. He does have a type of horse that he's really good with, and I don't know that it's this either.
He rides horses. You know, people say, oh,
Yes.
that Richie says it's
Like
a bicycle
essential
horse.
quality.
There are a lot of horses that seem to be the bicycle horse, something I have some mixed feelings about, that Luis Saez rides them, that I see other guys riding that they don't get the same rides. Now, listen, Luis is a great rider who has incredible success. I'm not trying to knock him, but you're right. There
I
are
actually
some
talked
horses.
about this not that long ago with Nick Tamro. I was saying I kind of have a theory with him where I think he started doing this because he had to with a horse like Essential Quality, and perhaps with some horses it doesn't need to be that way and they don't respond to it.
Well, you're on with Luis' biggest hater when you're talking to Nick, so he's going to agree with anything you say to knock Luis. But I don't know. I'm not sure if that. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think there's a way to prove that
I think
either, but-
some riders. Listen. One of the reasons that you like Luis in a lot of situations, he's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't necessarily going to be the case with all horses. And listen, Kay's done well with him, and I hope she does well here. What about Joey Freshwater?
What about him?
I'm not sure what. I feel like he's an all or nothing horse.
I really wanted to try to see what David Aragona saw with him, who picked him on top. And going back, okay.
Nobody picked him. That's why David picked him. David's just picking.
Just felt bad for him?
No, he's David's becoming the ultimate contrarian.
In a way, I mean, I guess you say, okay, after his last race, he was off, so maybe something went wrong that day. The start before that, they tried the blinkers experiment. He was eased. That didn't work out. Start before that, I mean, he's running in and off the turf quick call behind a horse that until then had only lost once. Before that, it's the Dwyer going a mile. He doesn't want to go that far.
He ran
It's
fine in
better
those races.
field.
He ran. I think the logical explanation. I'm sort of teasing David is this horse was running figures that are close to competitive enough early in his 3-year-old year, and now he's had time to mature, and he's going to be a fair price in here. So I think the argument for him is he has races that are close to competitive a year ago as a 3-year-old. Now he comes back, and maybe he just ran too much. I mean, Linda finally gave him a layoff after he had just been running. I mean, he basically ran 12 straight races in a period of time. He just needed time off.
Yeah.
And so I think you're talking about a horse that's had time to mature, that was fast enough in his good races. Linda's horses frequently run very well. So I think there is a very good argument for him. I don't think you have to reach that hard. I think your concern, which is a little of mine, is how badly he went before he went on the layoff. But maybe 12 races in, 9 months
Caught
just
up to him a
finally
little
took a
bit.
toll on him. And I imagine if I asked Linda, that's probably what she would say.
What about Beachwalker, who comes in with a figure that kind of makes him the horse to beat?
Yes, it does. I think there is currently a massive question where it came from. And I know Randy Persaud's horses have been running extraordinarily well. He improved to his best figure, to be fair, a figure he was claimed off of 2 back. And then last time he ran a race that he had no business running.
Yeah.
I agree.
Behind
And
horses that came back and validated
if
that.
he runs it, he's a major player. You going to bet him at 4-1 today?
No, I don't want him at that price at all.
Right, no, I'm glad you brought him up. I agree
but
with
I
you.
mean, looking
Wrote
at his
that
last
before.
race, he's got a 91. How
No,
many
no,
of
no,
these?
you're dead right. He runs his last race, this field could be in big trouble.
Yeah, it's just not a fair enough price to find out based on the prices he's done in his last 2 with 45-1 and then 22-1. I don't want him at 4.
An average of 36-1 in his last 2 races. He's going to be a fraction of that today. I don't know. Is he really going to be the same price as Set Sail in here?
No.
I don't think so either. See, I mean, either Set Sail is too high or he's too low. I mean, listen, once again, David's the man and making the line especially, but I don't know. We're not going to discuss David's selection, though, in the ladies, but good luck, buddy.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and
I think he was experimenting with hallucinogenics or something when he made his picks. So this is a tough race.
it is.
It's a tough
It's
race.
those 4, but in what order?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, let me be honest with you. You think Know It All Audrey has no chance in here?
I wouldn't say no chance.
It's not that bad. As far as comparative ran very well last time, but I do think it's worth noting that fast as the pace was, Crypto Mama
Was still
setting
there.
the pace. Now, she ran fine her next start. She just couldn't get the mile in an eighth. I think this horse can win. I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, do you think she has another slight forward move?
Which is possible, but at the same time, I I wasn't leaning in her direction for this race with a race that she ran last time that was her best overall. And while it was off a little bit of a freshening, she'd kept good company in the past. I didn't necessarily love the horses that she was beating in relation to this field.
No, I think that's perfectly fair. My problem is I'm not sure how much I think it's a very competitive group. I'm not sure how good I think any of these horses are in this race. For instance, the horse that I have on top, Evidencias, I don't think that she's going to win this race based on her last race. Now, she does break slowly, and this was a race that was dominated on the front end. Horse that won came back to win. I don't think that she was, I thought, the rail may not have been the place to be. She ends up making a big wide run.
She ran well.
I think with Evidencias, there's two things. You're absolutely confident that the distance is going to work for her.
Yes.
And maybe she's just going to improve with that race under her belt. But I don't know. I mean, I think this race gives her a chance, but I think she's got to run better than this. The other thing is, it does feel like at least the pace should be honest in here. They're not going to be blazing.
Right. I mean, Rhea Valentine should go. Noda Audrey doesn't like to be too far away. And then you have She's Mo Bubbly as well.
The 1 and 4 and 5 all have to go here, don't they? In some respect. I don't think they're going to be flying, but,
No, but
I don't think they're going to be crawling up front.
Yeah, no, she ran well.
I'm trying to reward Christophe for staying here in the winter. But I don't have any arguments against, like your horse Saddle Up Jessie. Talk about her. I think a race in Maryland easily class up with these.
Yeah, and I know sometimes it's a little bit questionable when you look at the Laurel form and how it's going to translate over here, but she's run well in her last couple of dirt starts. She was second two back at a big price, and then winner of her last two with numbers that certainly make her competitive enough in here, that she can get the mile in an eighth distance. And when I was kind of deciding between picking her or the horse that you picked on top, I looked at trainer stats for 3-year-olds and up going long on the dirt in stakes races. Clement 2 for 22, with one of those being Otello the other day versus Brittany Russell here. Stakes at Naira on the dirt. She's 5 for 17, and 2 of those horses were big prices, but the others were very logical. She's 29% with a $4.89 ROI. So she comes here with horses that are live and can fit in the places that she puts them.
Right. But she doesn't win with the kind of percentage in New York that she does down in Maryland. I mean, she wins at a high percentage in Maryland. She wins at a 16% on the dirt here. The horses she's won with at better prices were turf horses here.
Here on dirt?
And on dirt, she's 11 for 69, 16%, $1.69 ROI. It's not a terrible number.
I just looked at stakes races on dirt.
No, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. But I'm talking about her overall numbers.
Yeah.
Overall, her horses have not run quite as well here as they've run in Maryland. They haven't run badly. She's done fine. I'm not, listen, I'm not knocking this horse. She could absolutely win here. I'm not going to be surprised. The one horse that's going to take money in here that I'm circumspect of is She's Mo Bubbly. And you look at David's line, he'll probably be close to right, but the way he's got them all bunched, I don't think he's going to be surprised when somebody gets left out and somebody gets overbet.
Sure.
Because this is a figure that's just a little bit tough to buy.
I tried to beat her last time because I thought that she was kind of dressed up off of that Saratoga race
5-1
on the dirt. But then she ended up being a pretty decent price and was sort of able to back that up. So I don't know, she can win. I was just still kind of a little suspicious of how good she really is. But at the same time, as you mentioned, is this field all that great?
Horses have not run back to that fig. Now, to be fair, Timeform US has the race fast too. I'm not saying the fig is wrong. I just wonder how predictive it really was, because you got a horse that improved off an 83 buyer on a heavily biased track up in Saratoga where she was just coasting along on the front end against nobody. I'm very interested to see what she does running back. And she's the only one, of the major contenders that I would be willing to let beat me. I could use any of the 2, 5, and 6 in this race. I don't have a strong opinion in this race.
Yeah, I don't either.
At all. I thought it was very competitive. And I think you're right about the 6. I think this horse could absolutely win. It doesn't matter what I think. The horse is going to run however it runs, despite what I think. Race number 9, I like Mitre Porciento. He's not going to run. And I end up with Rudy's 2 Speeds running 1-2 around the racetrack. Airport, the one thing I'll say about Airport last time.
They knew that he wasn't going to run.
They knew. He
did
was
know.
the biggest negative they knew.
Yep.
The fact that he wasn't favored in there was outrageous.
That was very telling.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
You're trying nobody rides for free.
Yeah, just trying to look for some sort of alternative with a horse that was forward last time and sort of crumpled a little bit behind Don't Be Late, who came back to win, now gets a jockey change to Manny Franco. And when he was successful at Finger Lakes, and I know it was Finger Lakes, he was able to sit off the pace. So I kind of wondered if he would get a different sort of ride today behind what looked to be the two Rudy Speeds.
He was inside. A lot of riders stayed away from the rail. I didn't see any evidence the rail was bad, but he was inside, and I agree it is a substantial rider switch to Manny Franco in a race where I don't trust Airport, but I'm just hoping he gets in front and wires the field. But
Yeah.
I like Mitre Porciento. He will not play. Sarah, thank you very much. We'll see you again, I imagine, next week at some
weekend.
point.
Yep.
All right. Look forward to that. Anyhow, we are closing in on time for the changes, so head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200, NairaBets.com. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. $20 bonus if you opt in and you bet 100 or more on both Aqueduct and Oaklawn. Shouldn't be that hard. A lot of action at Oaklawn as well today. We've got a middle pick 4, race 3 today, 2, 3, and 6 with the pick 4s. We have a cross-country pick 5 that starts in race 7 here, 7 and 8 here, 8, 9, 10 at Oaklawn Park. And, of course, all that action in the cross-country pick 5 as well as others will be shown America's Day at the Races, 12:30 until 6 tonight on FS2. Sarah, thank you very much again. Thank you for watching. A man who had a huge time in the financial district last night, Chris Griffin. He'll be coming up next with the reprise, the scratches and changes.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.